to God. I would be like, no, we don't need to do this. And I mean, you're a preacher. I shouldn't be telling you that what you're doing is wrong. So it became too much for me. Like, you want to live in sin. I don't want to live in sin. So I wanted to break up with him, and he would never let me break up with him. So one day, I put my foot down, and I was like, one day I went to his house. He came and picked me up. And I went to his house, me and my child. We went to his house, and he told me he had a meeting and he would be back. When he picked me up, me and my son hadn't had anything to eat. We hadn't gotten anything to eat. And he was like, he leaving to go get something to eat and he'll be back. He didn't have nothing to eat at his house, y'all. So me and my child is waiting on him to come back to bring something to eat. It's daylight when he leave. It is like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. This man don't come back. I'm steady calling him. He telling me he in a meeting. He telling me he got something to do. He telling me I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. I'm telling him, listen, you don't have no food up in here. I need to go. So I don't like to be put in a situation where my back is up against the wall, where feel like I'm being forced to be there. So I don't even know why this man came to pick me up, knowing that he had somewhere to go, leaving me and my child in his house with nothing to eat. That was not cool with me. So when he get back, I ask for him to take me home, and he refuses. He refuses to take me home. He say he not taking me home. I'm gonna stay, and I'm gonna stay there against my will. So I'm saying, no, I'm not going to stay against my will. So I'm trying to call a relative to come pick me up and take me home. He started fighting with me. He started taking the phone from me. True story, y'all. Pastor started fighting with me. He started taking the phone from me. He started telling me I'm not going nowhere. In the meantime and in the between time, his phone is ringing. A lady calls him. He goes in the room. They talking, and I could kind of get the gist of the conversation. He was with another lady the whole time. And so I somehow get the phone, and I'm like, who is this? And she's a pastor or a minister of a church as well. They are dating, so she thinks, and they are to be married. And I'm like, we've been dating for years. He keeps asking me to marry him. I keep telling him no. And she was like, wow, really? And so both of our eyes get open. And I'm like saying, and so while I'm talking to this lady, he trying to take the phone from me. He started hitting me, girl. He started beating me up, girl. I hang up that phone with that lady, and I call 911. The police come. I tell the police I want to go home. He will not take me home. He started fighting on me. And so the police tell him, sir, did you pick her up? And he was like, yes. He was like, the lady wants to go home. You went to pick her up. You have a responsibility to get her back home safely. Since you have, so the police was asking me, do you feel comfortable riding with him? And I said, no, sir. This man had already started beating me up in front of my child. I don't feel comfortable riding home with him. I'm like, no, sir, I don't feel comfortable riding home with him. So the police said, sir, you are responsible for taking her home. I'm going to call her a cab, and you're going to pay for it. And he like, I don't have the money to pay. The police say, you better come up with the money. The police say, you better go up in their house, and you better find the money, and you better come up with the money to pay for her cab to get home. So y'all, I don't know where he got the money from, but the police called the cab, and the cab took me home. So then after that, you know how we young, dumb, and stupid, and he tried to smooth everything over. And so then I had to call a man to pay the monthly bill for the jury that he had charged on my account. He told me he wasn't paying the monthly bill. So he gonna make my credit bad. He ain't got no credit. Can't go get nothing in his name. He gonna make my credit bad because I don't want to date him. So a couple of months go by. He do not pay the bill. I'm begging him to pay the bill. He got a settlement, y'all. And he had got hurt on his job and he got a settlement. So I'm begging him to pay the bill in full because I'm no longer with you. I don't want to call you every month to pay this bill. Can you please just pay the bill off? He said no. He wasn't going to pay the bill off. So he won't pay the bill off. I don't want to deal with him. One day, he picked me up to go pay the bill, and we were riding in the car, and he was trying to talk to me, get back in a relationship with me, and I didn't want to be with him anymore, and I was like, no. And this man tried to open up the door and push me out the car on the freeway because I didn't want to get back in a relationship with him. After that, I never wanted to go with him again to go make payment. So I was like, no, you need to pay this off. And he was refusing to pay it off. So I went to the assistant pastor of the church. I knew where the assistant pastor of the church lived. I asked the assistant pastor, could you come outside and talk to me? And he was married. I don't know if his wife came outside. I can't remember. This was so many years ago, you guys. I can't remember if the wife came outside to hear what I wanted to talk to her husband about or not. And so I went to the assistant pastor and I told him what was going on. I told him what he did to me. I told him how he had beat me. I told him how we were in a relationship. The pastor, the assistant pastor, didn't know that we were in a relationship. Nobody knew that we was in a relationship. And so the assistant pastor was like, he's sleeping with you? And I'm like, yes, sir. And I've been trying to get out of a relationship with him. I don't want to continue in living in sin, but he won't let me. And all the jewelry that he has, it's in my name on my credit card. He's gotten his settlement and he will not pay off the credit card. He's using that to continue to be able to see me, to continue to talk to me, and he won't pay it off. And the assistant pastor was like, I thought he bought that with his own money. I said, no. So the assistant pastor just didn't want to believe everything I was saying. He wanted me to show him the receipts. He wanted me to show him the credit card bill and everything. I showed it to him. I showed him the jewelry was in my name. I showed him everything. That man up there is so disappointed that he is following a pastor, a head pastor of a church who has been deceiving him and the whole congregation. That pastor takes the situation to other affiliate churches and tell them to hold this pastor accountable. Tell them what's going on. Tell them what this grown man is doing to a 27-year-old church. And the churches come together and they call him and they tell him he must pay my bill in full. And they tell him he must leave me alone. And they put him on suspension from his church. Now, I didn't know other churches could do this, but the church put him on suspension because he was the head pastor. He owned the building. He owned the church. But the ministry up under made it known to other pastors what he was doing, which they was probably doing the same thing too. And they put him on suspension and the assistant pastor had to take over. Y'all, that's part one. of trying to get rid of the pastor who manipulated me into a relationship with him, tried to keep me in a relationship with him, and tried to take my life. He did all kind of stuff, you guys. This is not the end of the story. Even though I did break up with him, even though we did not get married like he wanted to, even though he did eventually pay off the credit card, he was furious. He was furious. He was mad. He was mad that the church knew about the sins that he was committing with me and how he was using me. He was mad about that. He was mad that the assistant pastor had to take over. He was mad. He was angry. He was angry, y'all. So beware of pastors that this is not just for pastors, y'all. This is any man that tells you he is a Christian, that tells you that he loves the Lord. If a man is a Christian and he loves the Lord, he should not want you to enter into sin with him. If a man is a Christian and he has a relationship with God, he should be being celibate. And he should know what God requires of him as a man who is going to be the head of a household. And he should be living a life dedicated to Christ. And he should encourage you to live a life dedicated for Christ. So any man that you think that God sent to you, if that man would enter into sin with you, if that man would have sex outside of marriage with you, God did not bring that man into your life to cause you to sin against God to be with him. That's not of God, and that man ain't of God, and he ain't no good man. And that's it, and that's all. But for a minister, for a preacher, for the head of a church to do that, it's even more despicable. It's even more despicable. And I've had this happen to me on several occasions. That's why I ain't been to church in years. That's why I read my Bible for myself and I get the word of the knowledge and the wisdom out of it, because, girl, I done ran into some ministers that is faking and shaking and Let me know in the comments bar below your experience. If you've had any experiences with preachers, you see, I'm willing to admit, I done went into sin. I done fornicated. I done committed adultery. I did all that. That's why I'm celibate now. I can't make up for the sins that I committed, but I sure can learn from my mistake and get myself right with God. So hopefully this will help you to know that don't put a relationship with a man before God. Don't let a man convince you to go into sin with him, to sin against God. That's not of God. God don't want you laying up with your legs up in the air, sleeping with some dude that's trying to convince you that he the one for you, and he don't even deserve to be your head. He can't lead you the way God wants you to be led and loved and respected and honor you if he throws all of the morals and the principles out the window that God wants you to uphold. A true man of God wants you to remain holy, untouched in your relationship with God. He don't want you to compromise the will of God to be with him. Any man that's okay with you sleeping with him before marriage, he ain't of God. He ain't from God. He don't love God. And he probably doing the same thing with other people. Learn from other people's mistakes. I wish somebody would have taught me all of this stuff, talked to me about this stuff. I was so naive. I was so naive. And that's what the older men look for. They look for the younger girls that's young, dumb, and stupid. They can't date a woman their age. That's a whole nother video. Some men can't date a woman their age because them women ain't going for all that stuff. But a young girl, she don't know no better. Be nice to her, feed her, take her out, spend time with her, and she thinks he's a good guy. But she don't know all the other signs to look for to let her know that this is not a good guy. And then she eventually gets in too deep. And next thing you know, she's in a domestic violence situation. Her life is being threatened, or her life ends up being taken because she didn't know what to look for. Mothers, if you have experienced things in life, share this information with your children. Share this information with your daughters. Share this information with your son so they won't be like this. But you have a responsibility to equip your children so they could be prepared for stuff like this. When a woman keeps everything that she done been through a secret because she's embarrassed of it, she lets her daughters find this stuff out the hard way. Nobody had these kind of talks with me. And I'm sure my mothers and my aunts went through things with men that we as young ladies could have learned from. But now I don't take no bull crap off of nobody. No man can't fool me. No man can't trick me. No man can't hit me and batter me and abuse me. That's why it's best for me to remain single, because it's not that many men out there that's ready to be up on the up and up. I don't want to go through no more bad men. So I ain't even willing to take the chance, baby. If I miss out on something good, I ain't missed out on nothing I never knew. Like they say, you can't miss nothing you ain't never had. I ain't had it, so I don't know, and I ain't missing it. Oh, well. I hope y'all enjoyed this story time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified each and every time I upload a new video or I go live. If you're not subscribed to my other channel, Vanessa's Van Life Journey, please go over there and subscribe to that channel. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, Nomadic Therapy, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to support the channel, you got a little thank you button under the video. If you was blessed by this video and you want to show some love, you can show some love.